count 3? Guilty. Let that sink in. Diddy just got hit with a guilty verdict for transporting Cassie Ventura. That's not just a rumor. That's a courtroom-confirmed fact. Daily drama, real tea, no filters, just mic drop daily. Don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, he walked away with 3 acquittals, but let's not act like this was a win. Diddy has officially been found guilty on 2 out of 5 federal charges. And these aren't petty charges. These are serious violations under the Mann Act, which deals with moving people across state lines for things like intimate exploitation or commercial sex acts. That's exactly what came up in relation to Cassie and another unnamed Jane Doe. Now, some folks are straight up fuming because they feel like Diddy skated by on the bigger charges, especially the ones involving trafficking and running a whole illegal operation. The jury let those go, but here's the catch. They said the government didn't prove that part enough. Still, how did they not see this man was operating something way bigger? Think about it. This trial stretched over 6 weeks. 34 witnesses took the stand, not 1 or 2. 34. We're talking about alleged survivors, federal agents, personal assistants, all of them giving the same vibe that Diddy wasn't acting alone. He had a whole system, people around him who looked the other way or helped make it happen. That sounds like a criminal enterprise to most of us. One of the most heartbreaking testimonies came from Cassie herself. She said she felt like she had no choice. That's what makes the guilty verdict hit hard. It confirms what she's been screaming into the void for years, and finally the court listened. So no, this ain't full justice, but it is something. If convicted on sentencing, Diddy could be staring down 20 years behind bars. That's no slap on the wrist. That's 2 decades of silence from a man who's dodged accountability for way too long. This case got dark, real dark. And honestly, if Cassie hadn't gotten even a drop of justice, what kind of world are we living in? Some of the things that came out were straight up disturbing. Like Kid Cudi's car literally exploding, and Mia, Diddy's former assistant, who says she was physically harmed by him, and still no justice for them in this trial. One chilling detail that came up, while staying at a hotel, witnesses said they were on speakerphone with Capricorn Clark, who worked for both Diddy and Kid Cudi. She sounded shaken, like she was about to break down crying. She allegedly told them that Diddy and another person were already inside Kid Cudi's home, and she was forced to go along with them. That sounds more like a home invasion than a business visit. Let's break down the actual charges. Diddy was found guilty on count 3, which involved Cassie Ventura and the Mann Act, a federal law that protects people from being trafficked or transported across state lines for acts they didn't consent to, especially of a sexual nature. This ain't just about intimacy. It's about coercion, control, and abuse of power. According to testimony, Diddy and Cassie were fighting in the bedroom while a witness stood near the foyer. That witness said they saw Diddy pushing, possibly punching, and even kicking Cassie. That's physical violence, no doubt about it. He was also found guilty on count 5, which follows the same pattern but involved a different former girlfriend, another Jane Doe. Now, based on past videos and tea that's already out there, people got their own theories on who she really is. Some say there's even a possible connection to 50 Cent, but we'll leave that for another day. Now here's where it gets wild. This was what folks are calling a mixed verdict. Yeah, Diddy got hit on 2 charges, but he walked on 3 others, including the heavy ones like trafficking and criminal enterprise. So in court terms, the defense can call it a win, but on the streets, it's definitely not a clean victory. The Mann Act charges were seen as the easiest to prove. Low-hanging fruit, as they say. Prosecutors just had to show that the women were taken across state lines for the wrong reasons, and the jury clearly saw enough to convict on those 2 counts. After the verdict, the judge told the jury straight up, they're not required to talk to the press, and the media should back off from digging into their private deliberations. But let's be real. Folks are dying to know what went down in that jury room, so we'll see if any of them pop up later for interviews or spill some behind-the-scenes details. So now that Diddy's officially guilty, what's next? Sentencing. But don't expect it to happen overnight. The courtroom heat might be off for a minute, but the tension, still rising. Diddy's team knows those 20 years are looming like a storm cloud. His lawyer, Mark, already jumped in, begging the judge to let Diddy out on a $1 million bond so he can go home and relax in Miami. Relax? The man's been locked up for a year and now he's trying to go chill by the beach like he's on vacation? The audacity. You can almost picture it. Diddy lounging in his waterfront mansion, quietly stuffing cash into a suitcase, then hopping on a yacht or private jet and poof, vanished to some tropical island. Let's not act like he couldn't do it. With his kind of money, an escape wouldn't even be that hard. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise anyone if he tried to dip out before sentencing. Because let's be real, prison ain't sweet, and Diddy knows it. But here's the catch. The government ain't playing with him. Prosecutors are pushing hard to keep him locked up until sentencing. They told the judge straight up, he should stay behind bars because of that Mann Act conviction, and they're not sugarcoating it. They're going after the full 20-year max sentence. One name that got thrown around during the hearing was Comey, the prosecutor. And for a split second, the courtroom gossip jumped tracks. People started whispering, wait, isn't Comey the same name as that official connected to Trump? And just like that, some wild thoughts popped up. Imagine if Trump pardoned Diddy? Now, that would break the internet. But back to reality, the judge gave prosecutors a few hours to write up their argument for denying Diddy's bail. That letter could be the thing that either sends him back home or keeps him locked up while the system gears up to throw the book at him. So here's the deal. 1 p.m. Eastern is the moment everyone's watching. That's when the court will decide whether Diddy gets to leave jail before sentencing. Not totally free, of course, because sentencing is still coming, but will he get to chill at his Miami mansion while he waits? That's the million-dollar question. But honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if he tried to vanish. I mean, who wouldn't at least think about it if they were in his shoes? Facing 20 years? That's enough to make anybody want to disappear. And let's keep it real. Diddy gives off the vibe of someone who refuses to admit guilt, like he truly believes he did nothing wrong. Delusional or not, that mindset is dangerous. Inside the courtroom, it got emotional. Reports say Diddy dropped to his knees, head down on a chair like he was praying, probably thanking the universe he dodged a life sentence. That was on the table, and now he knows it. Meanwhile, his family, standing in the back, clapping, hugging, smiling like they just watched him win a championship, not walk out of a serious federal trial. His defense lawyers even embraced each other like they'd pulled off the impossible. I actually saw his entire family roll into the courthouse earlier, all suited up for the occasion. The vibe? Like they were hoping for a full walkout. But that didn't happen. Let's sum it up. Sean Combs got acquitted of the heaviest charges, including trafficking Cassie Ventura and another woman. The jury didn't buy that those women were forced into wild, illegal acts with male escorts, and they weren't sold on the idea that Diddy was running some kind of full-blown criminal enterprise. But don't let that confuse you. He's still guilty on 2 serious charges, both tied to the Mann Act. Each one carries a maximum of 10 years behind bars. So yeah, that's up to 20 years in prison still staring him down. What's wild is that people online are already shouting not guilty just because he beat the RICO charges. Those heavy racketeering and trafficking allegations? But come on now. Let's not pretend this was a clean walk. Diddy's still got 2 felonies hanging around his neck, and no amount of cheering in that courtroom is going to erase that. A lot of folks were convinced Diddy might skate out of this completely, but this conviction, it's major. He got hit with real charges, and even though it wasn't the full list, this is not a win for him. Still, it's frustrating that the government couldn't lock in the rest. All that time, energy, and evidence, and they couldn't seal the deal on the most serious stuff? It kind of makes you question the game plan. Like, either come prepared to go full force or don't step up at all. Now, let's be honest, Diddy's name is already in the mud. Sponsors dropped him, music deals got yanked, and the public? They've turned their back. So even if it's 1 charge, 2 or 5, his reputation's already torched. The only outcome that would have truly flipped things is a full acquittal. And that didn't happen. On the charges he was found guilty of, he's facing up to 10 years for each, so potentially 20 years behind bars. And after nearly 2 months of courtroom drama, this chapter is finally wrapping. Sentencing is coming within the next 90 days, and once that hits, he'll be headed to prison unless something wild changes. Now, here's where things could get shady. The judge has to decide if Diddy's going to stick around or pull a Houdini move. Let's not act like the man ain't got resources. Private jets, luxury boats, secret getaways, you name it. If he wanted to disappear, he could. That's why people are worried. His legal team, top tier. They already pulled off a partial miracle by getting him cleared of some major charges, so don't be shocked if they now push for house arrest or ankle monitors instead of a cell. And even though it stings to say it, the defense did their job. They fought hard, twisted things in his favor, and managed to create just enough doubt to keep Diddy from getting slammed on everything. That legal squad really bought him some breathing room, but can they save him from what's coming next? Cameras already caught Diddy giving a thumbs up, but behind that smirk, he's shook. Deep down, even he knows, this time, money might not be enough to buy his way out. But here's the wild thing about prison time, it can flip in an instant. Diddy might go in with a 20-year sentence, but all it takes is one quiet little hearing 6 months or a year later, and the judge could say, you know what? He's been on good behavior. Let's chop that sentence down. Just like that, he could be back on the streets in a couple of years. And honestly, that's kind of chilling. It's frustrating to think about, but we gotta admit some justice was still served, especially for the victims who had the courage to speak up. Their voices finally counted, and that's something we can't ignore. But now I need y'all to sound off in the comments. For real, I'm gonna be in there reading what everyone's saying. How do you feel about all this? You happy he was found guilty or disappointed the bigger charges didn't stick? Personally, I was relieved when those guilty verdicts came in. But then I opened up social media and saw places like the Shade Room and others hyping up the fact that he wasn't convicted on the RICO charges. The comments are full of folks screaming, not guilty, like he walked away scot-free. Let's make it crystal clear, he's still guilty on 2 serious federal charges. That's facts. Just because he dodged the RICO bullet doesn't mean he's innocent. Don't let flashy headlines twist the truth. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a drop. Let's keep the convo going. This story is far from over.